He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another edition here of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. It is Season 2, Episode 19. We got a fair bit to talk about because our stud quarterback, Drake Maye, officially made his first start and didn't do that. Did pretty reasonably well, I think we should all say. But we will break down the game. Obviously, JD's with us as well. We got DJ, we got Kieran. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button while you're at it, or rather Gronk spike it. Tell all your friends, follow us on all our social media platforms, and remember, and also, guys, for the very first time, we are now on Instagram. So go and check us out on Instagram as well, and follow us on our podcast on the Sports Social Network and on Spotify as well. You may have noticed we have got a little bit of a change on the front of our screen here. That's because we are bound for London this weekend, and we have a little bit more of a talk about that towards the end of the show. But for now, let's get everyone on board. Gentlemen, good evening. How are we doing?
Well, good. Excited. Looking forward to this weekend. A lot of optimism now surrounding the team after a very promising performance from Drake Maye. Just looking forward to getting to Wembley this weekend and, getting to see our new franchise quarterback play in the flesh.
DJ, JD, all good?
Yep, all good. Ready for London. London bound now. Like Kieran just said, I'm excited just to see the new quarterback that we've got now, ready to go.
Yeah, me too. Excited for the weekend. Looking forward to seeing Drake Maye in the flesh.
Also, yep, of course, and all that, and also JD, a big happy 4th birthday to your little girl, I believe, because obviously anybody who's watching this on YouTube or JD has got a number 4 balloon behind him rather. So it's happy birthday to your little girl. Hope she has an amazing day. I'm guessing it is tomorrow.
It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
It was a remnant from celebration. Yeah.
So you're not sucking the helium out of the balloon then? Not yet, anyway.
No, not yet. Not quite.
I did wonder if you borrowed that balloon from the team last year for celebrating 4 wins, but
if we got to 4 wins this year, I'd be celebrating. I tell you that. That'd be
might need to save it.
You know where we are, guys. Here we go. Another loss on the Patriots' resume of this season. 41-21 it ended. Not the greatest of results, shall we say. But there is a silver lining. And that is, of course, it is Drake Mayenia time. DJ, I'm going to start with you first. What was your... I could see you slowly giving up hope on the group chat because of what was happening during the game and that. But just on Drake Maye alone, what did you make of his performance?
Yeah, I was raging at the beginning of the first quarter. I mean, we went down, 14-0 within... I can't remember how many minutes it was in that first quarter, but it was just like the same old, the way we saw them last year, the Patriots and that. But at the end, I wasn't even that mad anymore. Like, we'd lost and we got defeated pretty bad. It was I don't remember the last time where someone had scored 40 odd points against us. So I was just at the point where I was just not disappointed anymore. Given what Drake Maye did show on the field in the first quarter, I was thinking to myself, we've got a 2.0 Mac here. But I think it was more, he was just nervous. You got to give the kid credit. You know, he's like, 21 years old or 22, stepping onto the field, your first NFL game. And, you know, you got to be nervous. You got to give him that, and I think he did settle into the game pretty well as the time went by. Around quarter 2 and 3, I think he did settle into the game pretty well. So yeah, overall, like I say, I'm disappointed that we lost and we got outscored by 41 points or 21 in total. But it's good to see something different, and it just proves that Drake, I think, can make this team better moving forward. I get the Jacoby transferring over, and was it the right time for Drake to step in? I think it was. I think this was probably the game, or even versus the Jags next week, because this team did need a shift into a different direction. It just goes to show, like, Jacoby scored, how many was the touchdowns? Was it 3 in 3 games or something?
2 in 5.
2 and 5.
Yeah, 2 and 5. Drake's done that in one game. So I think it just goes to prove that he was ready, and the time was needed for a change.
Did you think that it could have been timed a little bit more better? Because I'm not going to say start for the regular seat for the start of the season. What I'm referring to is, should we have started him last week against Miami?
Maybe against Miami. Yeah, given the way that the team performed. Well, because the teams, even Miami was appalling as well. I think that may have been the game for him, and we could have had even a better chance of winning that game if he was playing quarterback there.
Because the way I see it as well, if you started him at the start of the season, would have had a chance. We beat Cincinnati already with Jacoby Brissett, so imagine what Drake Maye maybe would have been able to have done during that game. Although they probably would have lit a rocket right under Joe Burrow. That's probably the last person you want to actually get on the wrong side of, really. Could we be in Seattle with Drake Maye? Possibly. I thought we could. I think the Jets and the 49ers, I don't think you'd even have a chance, have a sniff of that. If I'm all due honesty, maybe might be able to push the Jets a little bit, but that was probably about it. And obviously the 49ers, we know they're a juggernaut. Even though they're not playing particularly great, they're still a juggernaut, and we knew that was a deadlock of a loss anyway. But the Dolphins last week 2 weeks ago, was a shambles. Drake Maye could make those throws, and he could. Pop Douglas was wide open 2 or 3 times over the middle to get open, and just it's frustrating.
I thought Drake, he I don't know how to really put this, but I think he controlled the offensive line as well better than what Jacoby was. He was moving around the pocket when he needed to move around. He kind of knew or sensed where the O-line were on what they weren't doing. Something that I think Brissett probably panicked and didn't really like. He would just throw it to his check receiver or whatever you want to call it. But I think Drake was managing the pocket presence better than what Jacoby was doing in the last couple of games. Again, there is times where I felt May's footwork can be improved on. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I'm all for moving forward with Drake and seeing what this guy can do for us.
I think it's tough, isn't it? It's tough to know like what impact he would have had when he was injected into the lineup. I actually quite liked this and said last week that I don't think it's a bad time to bring him in, because I think you would bring him into a home game, which is a good environment, but also you would bring him into a game with no expectations. And I don't know if that's potentially a good thing. Like if he goes up against Miami with their third string QB, maybe there's the air of we should win this game. And if he doesn't, then that kind of quells some of the excitement. I think actually maybe because I went into the game on Sunday thinking, I don't think we've got a hope in hell of winning, but I just want to see something out of Drake. I want to see something that makes me go, like that throw at the end of the game, the scramble drill where he throws back across to Hunter Henry, the couple of runs that he had that makes me go, well, we might have something here. We might have a guy here. Like, this is impressive. So that's what I wanted to see. I didn't care necessarily about the score. It was disappointing to see the dude do what they did. But I think it's difficult as well with Drake because I think there's going to be such a higher variance with him at quarterback. I mean, I know he's already surpassed Jacoby Brissett in touchdowns, but he's already passed him in interceptions as well. So like it's the double-edged sword of a rookie QB where he's going to make brilliant plays. But I also think he's turned the ball over already more than Jacoby has. And I think he's only a couple of big turnover-worthy plays behind him already. So there is going to be that, and that's to be expected. But I don't know if it's maybe a good idea to have thrown him in. And again, the Texans are the number 3 defense in DVOA. That's a really good defense we just played. And perhaps going against a struggling Jacksonville unit next week, it suddenly won't seem like as big a challenge. which may be a good situation to throw him in. I don't know.
I mean, even when he's passing the ball, you see the precision passes he does. Like for one, the Boutte pass, that was unbelievable. That was right pin on to where he needed to throw that ball. And then there was another one that was I think it was the Douglas touchdown, where he knew where the defender. Well, I think Douglas had mentioned something like, if I'm going to cut left, I'm going to make a sharp right, and the guy's not going to be able to catch me. I think Dre catched onto that straight away, and he just like slang it to the side of him, and then obviously Pop was gone. It's just those little things that he's already realised, and this is game one.
Yeah, on the train home, I watched the All-22 footage on Game Pass, and Pop was so good. He was open almost every play. He was absolutely phenomenal. Their nickel corners could not get a hand on him, even in press. And someone that is smaller like Pop should struggle in press. And he was a route running clinic, like absolutely sensational.
Even Boutte got separation from, was it Stingley? Is it?
Stingley, yeah, not a lot of separation. I think it was like 0.8 yards or something, wasn't it? Which is NFL.
That's still
they were teammates in LSU.
Yeah, but Drake Maye put that ball right in the breadbasket of Boutte. The one thing I will say about that touchdown, it was a fantastic touchdown, brilliant throw by Drake Maye, great catch by Keyshawn Boutte. I was disappointed with the commentator Kevin Harlan on the call of that, because I really, really wanted to hear him say, "You can kiss his Boutte goodbye." I was waiting for it, and you didn't do it. You disappointed me, Kevin Harlan. Disappointed me. But anyway, Kieran, let's move to you. What did you make of Drake Maye's performance? I think JD and DJ made some pretty good, valid points, but the first half was very, very shaky, shall we say? He wasn't quite there. He was a little bit nervous in the pocket at times. Holland's ball just a little bit too long, but maybe that's just down to rookie nerves. The interception, the first interception he threw, he overthrew his receiver by a country mile. Yeah, not the best. Would you say that was down to rookie nerves, or skeptics say, "Oh no, he may not be the person for the job"?
Yeah, rookie nerves, but also you got to factor in that we were playing from behind pretty early on. Like you're given a 14-point deficit in your first start against the number 3 defense in the league, and you're thinking, "Oh shit, what am I going to do here?" And it's almost like pressure's on him to drag us out of it. So yeah, I thought he started with a bit of nerves, but I think once he got into a rhythm, he certainly settled down. And I think, going off what DJ said in terms of how he commanded the offensive line and his pocket presence, I think if you're that line and you've been blocking for Jacoby Brissett, who's going to throw the ball for 3 yards a play, and now this time you've got a guy behind you that they think, if we can just give him that bit of time this time, if we play our asses off, this guy might actually do something with the ball. And I think that's factor into their confidence playing and why they might have played a little bit better, knowing that Drake's in the game. But I think it just took that one moment. I mean, he had some nice throws. I think up until the touchdown pass, he was like 9 of 16. It's okay, just over 50%. But I think that touchdown pass to Keyshawn Boutte, which was an absolute dime, and we're understating that a little bit, because this is a receiver that we've all liked. We all like Keyshawn Boutte, but he's been given very limited opportunity in the NFL. And he dusts one of the best corners in the game to get wide open on a deep bomb. And that was the longest touchdown we've had in how many years? Was it 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And
that's what I mean. And there's just so many facets to that, like how good it was. And I think that injected so much life into the team, particularly on offense. I know, we gave up a lot of points defensively, but that's because we're just so undermanned at the moment. It just seems to be injuries stacking up. You got players playing out of position. Like, you're relying on Mate Mapu, a second-year, hybrid player, calling your defensive plays. Like, it is difficult. But I think he gave us hope. Drake, he gave us life, and it sparked some life into the team. And I was very, very encouraged, considering the line he's playing behind. And I know the line played a lot better. I think that was one of their best performances of the season. But like, you still had like Domontre Jacobs getting abused on the edge. Like, Will Anderson Jr. had 3 sacks in the game. Like, I just think everything that he done exceeded expectations for him, because he very easily could have capitulated, but he was poised, he was confident, he's thrown more touchdown passes in one game than Jacoby Brissett's done all season. And yes, the first interception was bad.
And the second one was just
the second one was so unlucky. I think that could have been up there. I said it in the chat at the time. Like Baker Mayfield had one in the game against the Saints where it got tipped at the line, smacked someone in the helmet, ricocheted up in the air, and then fell in a defender's hand. I'm thinking, if you're the QB in that situation, you're thinking, bloody hell, how the hell has that happened? I feel like that's what happened with Drake May's second one. You kind of think he's tried to check it down, and the ball's pinballed around and just fell in the defender's hands. That's not on him. So I think overall, really encouraged. I think with a good offensive line in front of him, he's going to be a stud. I think he showed that although we'd all love a proper dynamic number one receiver in this offense, he's proved that he can make plays with Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas. Hopefully Jalen Polk will kick on. He's had a bit of a rough couple of weeks. But he can still make plays. And it is amazing. We all spoke over the course of the season about how bad the line is and all the problems and whatnot. But it's amazing what a good quarterback can do in one game. Like, he transformed the offense in one game and gave us hope off one game. And I think that is exactly what happened. I put it on my social media after the game. Nobody expected us to win, but the one objective was achieved. We wanted to see potential from Drake Maye, and he showed more than what we were expecting. And I think as fans, we can be really happy with that.
I think even looking at... Go on, DJ.
Just looking back at even Drake's history, as in personal perspective. I think his father, was he a quarterback as well or not? Or was involved in something in the NFL? I know his brother is a golfer. His sister's his NBA
game-winning shot in the NCAA championship, didn't he?
So
he's from a sporting family.
Maybe his dad's a golfer then.
Sporting athletic family he's come from.
The pressure he puts on himself reminds me of what Brady is, as in mentality and the way he performs and puts himself forward out there. I think that's a lot to think as well. I think the May whole family thing is.
Do you know what Drake Maye did after he threw that touchdown pass to Kayshon Boutte? He went back to the bench and he picked up the tablet because he wanted to see the replay of that on the X and O's and how maybe he could have utilized it a little bit better. That is someone that is literally focused in on the game and not looking about the hype. You just find your first touchdown. No, back on the bench, look at your tablet. Let's see where you can go again.
I think there's something I wanted to mention. The touchdown was that it was this exact same play design as the first interception. So on that play, there's twins to the right, and Pop runs a cross or a dig route from the slot. And that's when he evades pressure, rolls to his left, and throws the pick. But it was weird when you look at the Texans. It's really strange. They were playing man coverage a lot, which I think was this idea of we're playing against a rookie QB. Let's just man up against a bunch of average receivers and just pressure him. But they were playing the single free safety, and he really favored the weak side, which I thought was really strange. You don't see that very often. And so it meant that he had twins on the right. He had the crosser, which was running towards the safety, which he threw the first time and got intercepted, which wasn't a very good throw, but maybe not the best read. But what that meant was because the safety was all the way over to the weak side, that one-on-one, that go route on the outside to the right, on the strong side, is a true one-on-one. And what's really cool about the play is Pop's actually wide open on the touchdown in the middle, about 20 yards deep, and he could just take that. But you can see that immediately he's learned from that first play that he knows if that safety shifted over to the weak side again, I've got a true one-on-one on the outside. And he just trusted Boutte to make the play. And you can see from the minute he receives the snap, he's not looking anywhere else because he knows he's got a true one-on-one, and he just lets his guy go make a play. And I think that was really cool. In that first touchdown, that first pick, he could have had Polk on that route, but he didn't take it. And then when we came back and ran the same play, he then took it and learned from that mistake, which I think was really good. And that was what impressed me. I don't feel like there were watching the game, maybe 2, 3 at the most I counted, where you think, I don't think that was a great decision. Which, as a rookie making his first start, that's huge Because typically when you've watched guys like Caleb Williams or even like Trevor Lawrence, especially Matt Jones when he was with the Patriots, a lot of the errors were coming on like, what are you looking at there? What are you seeing? You're not seeing what you should be. Whereas with Drake, it didn't feel like on many plays, and obviously it's only one game, but it didn't feel like he was looking at things or making bad decisions or looking at things incorrectly. It felt like the bad plays were underthrows or sailing the ball on a receiver, and that was it, which you can fix that up relatively easily. That's not a huge issue. But the mental side of things was where he really impressed me, because I expected far more mental mistakes than he actually made. Yeah. So I think that was really impressive.
The way he throws the ball is so different. Like, you notice as well how Jacoby Brissett, like even just like his arc and his throwing motion is so different. Drake was throwing at all kinds of different angles, sidearms, zip, and he just like, there's some of the throws are just so effortless. Like I sent one to JD and then you sent one back in the group chat. It's just a sling, and it's like an absolute rocket out of his hand in perfect precision.
It's like Mahomes.
Just the way he throws the ball is just different.
Steady on.
And that's when you know you've got a guy. Like,
let's not start comparing Drake Maye to Mahomes yet. He's played one game. Let's just calm it down.
The way he released
Mac Jones in the past is,
like
we said about Mac in the past, how like Mac would literally put all the effort to try and get the ball 30 yards, whereas Drake is just effortless and he can throw it at different angles and different different body shapes. And this is a very talented passer of the ball.
Well, I mean, one of the plays we were talking about where he's on the left hash, he goes through his progressions, spots his fourth receiver, and then throws it within a crowded pocket, just sidearm 26 yards on an absolute frozen rope. When you're like, we've not been used to seeing players who can throw like that. Like, not since 2019 anyway, when Brady was there. That's a different level of physical skill.
I don't even Brady even threw any sidearm passes, and if he
did,
I
don't think Brady gets enough credit for quite how strong his arm was. I think it gets kind of downplayed, but no, he certainly wasn't throwing from dodgy arm angles quite often. But yeah, just really impressive, like you say, especially watching Matt Jones and the ghost of Cam Newton and stuff, like just seeing how the ball popped out of his hand when it was like Mac had to put his soul into anything that was remotely close to deep. Whereas Drake just seems to flick his wrist and it just flies, which is one of the things that made me kind of fall in love with him in the draft. So it's nice to see it translating.
Also, so on the first touchdown, if anybody saw the replays of Jacoby Brissett running down the sideline for the celebrating of Drake Maye, that's the sign of a very mature and a very humble veteran who's like, this kid's good. I was waiting for something like that to happen. I was hoping he weren't going to be sulking on the sidelines. No, he ran down and gave him the biggest hug going, that's great. That's great leadership.
Regardless, and I think that's what you said on the podcast when we continuously said, like, we're criticizing Jacoby's play, but we all really like Jacoby. Like, he seems like a really good
He's a good guy. He is a very good guy, but unfortunately, he's a very smooth and a very safe guy. Unfortunately, you need to be a little bit reckless in the NFL at times as well if you're going to go anywhere. And that's what we didn't have. We didn't have that. I wouldn't say that reckless aggression. But Drake Maye can make those sorts of plays. We saw him in the NCAA, and we saw him when he was in North Carolina. He can make those sorts of plays, even with an offensive line, which is just crumbling at the foundations, which is basically what ours was like anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I was really impressed with the fact that we've given AVP a lot of crap on this podcast in the past few weeks. But I was really nervous after that first series when it was just run, pass on 3rd and long. And I was like, please don't handcuff him and just like.
I still think the play call is questionable.
Well, I was quite nervous after that drive.
The first series,
really happy that they just let him go out there and sling it, because I was quite scared that they were going to shackle him and we're going to get nothing out of this, and we're going to have to sit here and watch Drake just hand the ball off and throw screens and that's it. But they just let him go out there and make mistakes, which I'm really happy with. Like, just let him go out there and just see what happens.
Going back on what Carl was just saying about Jacoby there, I wanted to point out, like, can you imagine Jacoby just being benched, but the attitude that he comes and, like you say, he was running up the sideline to make sure he was celebrating with May at the time. Who was the one person, I don't know if you saw it or not, but I'm pretty sure I saw a clip when Drake Maye threw his interception, who was only one person that went up to him to not consolidate, but maybe like coach him. it was Jacoby. Not
Jacoby
one
Jones.
single coach went up to him and said, "Right, why have you gone wrong? Why did you do that?
wanna
Or
know
what have
why?
you done here?"
You want to know why that?
Only he was the only one person that went up to him.
Because Jacoby had an earpiece in his ear. I think he was talking to Drake Maye and going through. I know Alexander Pelt calls all the plays, but something just tells me Jacoby said he had an earpiece on, and I reckon that he was listening into what the calls were being played.
That's
From a
what Drake's
coaching
been doing all
perspective,
year.
I'd expect
Drake's
your
been wearing
QB
the
coach to be going up there.
To get used to the plays. So it is the backup QB usually wears an earpiece so he can help like understand the call and stuff like that.
I just
I think
thought
one
it
thing
was a bit of
with Drake as well, he went on WEI the day after the game, and I think after the game there was such a wave of positivity from the fan base and the wider NFL saying like he played really well, he exceeded expectations. Patriots might have found their guy now, but then he sat on that radio show and they said to him, "Do you feel like your debut went well?" And he was like, "No, we didn't win." And I think that's the sign of, once again, the maturity and the competitor in him. He's like, "Look, okay, I made some nice throws, but there's a lot I wish I had back as well." And here we are, we're almost, we're serenading him almost like with praise, like, showing him with praise about how well he played because he was good. We credit where credit is due. But he's then saying, "Okay, yeah, I'm happy with some things, but there's some things I need to improve on." And I think that just shows the kind of character he is. And I think that's testament to him and just the mentality, that he's got. So, but yeah, credit to Jacoby as well. I think he's handled the situation remarkably well, and that will benefit Drake.
I think it speaks to the bond between the two of them. I think that's something that you've seen in the way they've spoken to the media, like we've kind of discussed there, that when Jacoby was asked about, Drake speaking to him and stuff like that, and apparently Drake came up to him and said, like, "Are you okay?" And Jacoby was like, "If you're worrying about me, you've got other things you should be focusing on." You can see that kind of like rapport and mentor-mentee kind of relationship they have that is going to get them through something like this. And I think that's why Jacoby's a good bloke to have around, I think, and somebody that could probably serve as a backup to Drake for a significant amount of time.
Absolutely. Drake has performed well in his first game. We'll see how he gets on against Jacksonville. Let's move on to some more pressing matters, shall we? Let's start with the offensive line. It seems like the main story that keeps coming out is this offensive line is just rubbish. It's just rubbish. It's just rubbish. This we gave up 3 sacks. One of them was also a strip sack as well, which led to 7 points being put on the board. The Texans created 17 points off turnovers because we couldn't hang on to the ball enough. Obviously Drake Maye had one. Austin Hooper fumbled the ball, and I believe I can't remember who else. Someone else fumbled the ball as well. It was another sloppy performance. And the offensive line didn't do much in regarding of helping the situation. All I'll say is this, okay, since week 2 against Seattle, this was the least amount a quarterback has been pressured this season so far. I think it was like 30.9% of Drake Maye was pressured. And I think we kind of knew that the pressure rate would drop because with a new quarterback, a new, more dynamic, more athletic quarterback, he's going to invade the pocket a lot more than what, say a Jacoby Brissett will. So we always knew the depth was coming down. What we weren't expecting was Ben Brown to come in. No idea who he is. Just picked him up off the scrap heap of waivers on the Thursday, put him in as the starting center. Didn't give up a single pressure all game. For a bloke I got absolutely no idea. I had no idea about. It was.
I can add some context to this if you want. Do you want me to add some context? So we claimed him off waivers on Thursday from the Raiders. He jumped on a red-eye flight from Las Vegas to Boston. He landed in Boston at 6:30 in the morning, was driven straight to Gillette Stadium, where he practiced on 1 hour's sleep. He spent 2 days practicing, cramming the playbook, and then got told on Sunday morning he was starting, and then graded as our best offensive lineman. I mean, that is an absolute Iron Man stint of 3 or 4 days. Fair play to him. I mean, we
He
don't know if
looked
he's
like
going to
he
last.
looked
We
like
hope
an
he does, but fair play to him.
he looked like an Iron Man on the press conference as well. He just looks like someone you just wouldn't want to be get on the wrong side in a bar with. Yeah, he looked really, really good. But the tackles, oh dear, oh dear. Look, Vidarian Lowe went down. Vidarian Lowe went down with an injury.
Injured.
Not a lot you could do about it. But Jacobs at right tackle, and then I think it was Zach Thomas, not that Zach Thomas, the other Zach Thomas, came in and didn't exactly
City
fare.
So as well.
City So came in at guard as well, which is basically he's left guard anyway. So that was another starting piece.
Yeah,
to
but
have back anyway.
He doesn't look right. Still
They're
injured,
rushing him back. They're rushing him back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
just
only had
don't know.
So, but he didn't give up any pressures or anything, so he was okay.
I think Jordan gave up 2 pressures, but the tackles gave up the sacks.
Yeah,
not a good day.
Consistent. It's just always moving around. They can't establish a 5-core offensive line. This is where I think it's all. They can't keep healthy. A lot of rotation players. No one's established where they need to be or what they're doing. One day you're a guard, the other day you're a tackle. It's like they're all over the place. I mean, there's even rumors like Cole Strange coming back as centre. I was like, really? I mean, maybe, but after seeing Brown now, I don't think so. But
yeah, I think Brown's a tough one because I think I read somewhere that he had only something like a 31% one-on-one rate. So he wasn't. He was part of a double team on pretty much every play. So he wasn't really given much opportunity to just sit there and hold his ankle one-on-one. I mean, he actually called the line as well, I think. It looked to me anyway like he was calling the protections, not Drake Maye, which is impressive on such, as Kieran pointed out, such little sleep and such little time to play. So I think that was impressive to see that.
So in terms of quick pressures, this is what the numbers we got. So right tackle Trey Jacobs had 3 pressures, 2 sacks. Left guard Michael Jordan had 2 pressures. Thomas at left tackle had 2 pressures, 2 sacks. Brown had 2 quick pressures. And starting right guard Michael Onwenu only allowed 1 quick pressure. So it looks like Onwenu is getting back to his former self against being in at right guard, which is good to see. We kind of needed that. But I'm going to be very honest with you. We dearly, dearly miss Ramondre Stevenson in this game. He's our running game. Antonio Gibson was just, wow.
Yeah, there was no running game.
Absolutely.
I think May had most yards, didn't he, this game?
When when your quarterback has rushed for more yards than your running back, that's a serious problem to deal with. So
I think, to be fair, I think it was the Texans' game plan. I think they just loaded up the box and said, "You're not running. We're going to sit in."
Yeah.
And I don't think Gibson played poorly. I just don't think there's anything there. He was just hit behind the line of scrimmage pretty much every time he carried the ball. There was one outside zone where I think he picked the wrong hole. But other than that, I think he just had no shot. I think that's the Texans. And I think there's a good shot we're going to see that. And maybe after Sunday, teams might not be as willing to just give up the pass. But it certainly seemed that the Texans were baiting the Patriots into throwing the ball.
That's the thing we said with Jacoby Brissett. We kept running the ball and he was just throwing quick downs. They loaded up the box and they said, you're not going to throw this ball down the field. We're downright sure of it. And the Texans did exactly the same. And Drake Maye made them pay for it on that first touchdown. Then they had to sit back and go, oh, wait, hang on a second. We might have to adjust here because they are respecting the pass defense here. We might have to change something about it. But because they didn't have a running game, they were still able to stop our run. And that was worrying. I mean, I don't know how long Ramondre Stevenson is out for. We'll find out if he is available this Sunday for Jacksonville.
I think he'll be back.
If he makes the flight, then thank goodness for that. Because, after what we witnessed, the Jags running game would do against that Jags defense, we're going to need Ramondre Stevenson for that. But we'll talk a bit of the preview of the Jags game in a bit. Let's take a look at our receivers. So there were some good ones. Obviously, Pop Douglas, we know what a great receiver he is. Kayshon Boutte, I said if this guy is very, very talented, if we get the best out of him, we've got ourselves an absolute steal. And yes, we may have to give credit to Bill Belichick for that because he did get him in the 6th round, but I digress. And on Hunter Henry did really well. We didn't even say anything about the second touchdown. But Drake Maye threw, and it was to Hunter Henry. So
yeah,
again,
on that one as well. I know we've been digging out the offensive line, and to be fair, DeMontre Jacobs did have a rough game, and I think that isn't a long-term fix for us at right tackle. But credit to him on that block, because he gives. They even highlighted it on the commentary. Kevin Harlan even said, "Good block by Jacobs." Like, he gave May just enough time to slide to the left, and obviously throw the ball to Hunter Henry. So fair play to him for that one. But yeah, solid all round. Gonna sort of gloat a little bit and sort of dust myself down for calling the Pop Douglas touchdown on the podcast last week. I just felt like it was coming. Like I said last week, like, that's the way Drake Maye likes to attack the game, throw over the middle of the field. That's where Pop Douglas thrives. Houston were going to suffocate us out wide and stack the box, and I just had a feeling that was just setting up perfectly for a Pop game. So I'm glad I called that, and I'm glad that he's finally got in the end zone, because we'd like to see him get in there a little bit more now. And then, yeah, Booty. Like I said, we're all fans of him. We're all delighted for him that he got the touchdown. He played the most snaps of any Patriots receiver. So is Kayshon Booty now wide receiver one? Are we living in a world where Kayshon Booty
no. Pop Douglas is wide receiver
one?
Pop Douglas is wide receiver one.
Yeah, but he's not an outside X receiver. Then your main X receiver on the outside is Booty now. That guy
could potentially be, but then that gives the glaring issue. Jalen Polk. This isn't the first time in this season where he's had multiple drops. He's having Javon Baker issues. This was not what we wanted. We brought in a receiver in that was going to be reliable, and it seems like he's got a case of drops now. He's got to get that out of his head very, very quickly, because there's a chance he will get dropped again. Thornton is performing absolutely pathetically. Javon Baker has always been a healthy scratch in every game so far. Osborne has done literally next to nothing, and now Jalen Polk is dropping the ball.
Yeah, in Polk's defense, I don't know how much of a truth it is, but I think that kid's dealing with some personal issues, and it's family related. From what I read, a couple, but it's not been like breaking news or official or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure there's something going on behind the scenes with him.
But the good thing is, although that Jalen Polk is having a bit of a downspell, other players are ascending. So, whilst Polk is struggling, Kayshon Booty stepped up. We know how good Pop is. And now we've got Kendrick Bourne back. So whilst there are players that are not quite performing, we now seem to have a trio that seem to be doing pretty well now, which is encouraging. Bourne's going to start getting more snaps as he starts to step up that recovery from the injury. But Booty's shown a lot of potential, and you've got to keep throwing him out there now. I mean, he's dusted one of the best corners in the game. Why can't he do that again? Get him the ball. He doesn't drop the ball. That's the thing. He genuinely does not drop the ball.
He doesn't. No, and that I forgot all about Kendrick Bourne. I forgot all about him.
I think we'll see.
Yeah, they're just easing him in.
Potentially, Boute's play the snap total kind of drop as Bourne comes back. Just because I think Bourne's probably our best shot at a one-on-one kind of matchup beater. Pop has his role in the slot and is really good in that regard in terms of against man coverage. But I think Kendrick Bourne's probably the guy who, if we have to have it on third down, we need somebody to beat a man. He's probably our best bet. I'm maybe not as high on Boutte as the rest of you guys on after just one vertical route. I think he maybe had like 9 yards on 2 of the catches outside of that one play. But
if it's the same sort of play at Wembley and Boutte gets the catch for the touchdown, you're stripping and going mental. Don't lie to me.
I must admit, I'm looking forward to seeing him. Yeah, I think definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I think I get what you're saying, JD, but like, I just part of me when he caught that touchdown, I just flashed back to the first 2 years at LSU, watching him absolutely annihilate the SEC. I'm thinking, this kid has got it in him. Like, we just need to find it, and that was a glimpse of it.
Yeah. And as an LSU fan, I absolutely agree with you. My concern with him is I do not want to be in a position where we are relying on Kayshon Boutte, because he is a notorious, and he did at LSU, he's a notoriously unreliable person.
I need to see more from him.
And so I'd love for him to get his act together and be a consistent part of the offense. But I don't want to hang my hat on Kayshon Boutte getting his shit together, to be honest, because he's not proven to anyone that he can do that for a sustained period.
Interestingly, after the game as well, he kind of took a shot a little bit at the offensive coaching staff, and he was just like, I've been saying for weeks, we got to push the ball down the field. We got to be really aggressive. We've been far too safe. And he was coming out there and saying, like, stick the ball down the field. We'll go get it. And I was like, you know what? He's right. So
he is right.
That's what he's good at. And he could sit in that Tyquan Thornton role of you are going to catch 2 balls a game, but it'll be for 50, 60 yards. Like, and that's his role. He could do that really well. And if you think about having him as an option doing that, pop in the slot, and then we get Kendrick Bourne back in some kind of more versatile X receiver role, you've got a decent 3 receiver there. And then we don't have to rely on Polk, with whatever issues he may be having, I don't know, but his drop issues being a part of it as well. So I think I think we are one really good receiver away. Like if you bring in, I always like it is if we've got a team full of Robins, if we bring in a Batman and everybody else can sit back in and, Pop all of a sudden now is getting the 3rd best corner and Butte is not facing Stingley, he's facing the 2nd or 3rd best corner. Like now all of a sudden that receiving core becomes a really, really strong part of the team, I think.
Do you think we should need to bring someone else?
I think the draft or free agency, I think we need a number one, whether it's T. Higgins, whether it is Travis Hunt, whether it's somebody. I mean like now. Huge difference. I don't think there's anybody. I wouldn't trade assets away now to pick somebody because I don't care about this season. Like ideally, like something like Sunday is an ideal result for us. To be honest, we get beaten in a game we should lose, but there's enough to make us optimistic for the future. Because this season, but there's a chance of us going in the playoffs is so minimal, and even if we do, why? Just do what the Steelers do every year and nick in as the 7th seed and then get spanked and be out. Why do I want that? Like it's pointless. I'd rather suck this year and then build as many as much capital as we can and make a play for the next 2 or 3 next year or 2.
I'm just thinking like the 2 trades that occurred today, like the Adams one and the Cooper. I don't think they were giving up much value for those trades. So I think Cooper was
both like over 31.
A 5th and then a swap for a 3rd or something like that, or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the argument is we probably want to amass draft capital because we have so many holes. You look at the defensive line, you look at our off-ball linebackers is just an absolute shit show. Like our O-line, our receiving core, like we've got a lot of gaps to fill. So even if the chance that a 5th round pick may contribute is not particularly high, but we probably need the capital to try and fill the many holes we have. A team like the Jets or Bills who are going for a championship right now with Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen in his prime, like that makes sense to trade stuff away and go and get a guy who can put you over the edge to what you need. And I think the Bills do need a receiver of Amari Cooper's quality. And obviously Aaron Rodgers just rules the Jets with an iron rod and gets whatever he wants whenever he wants it. So
yeah.
A big play for T. Higgins in the offseason has got to happen. Like throwing the bag at T. Higgins in the offseason. I think that's a must.
We have the cap room, so what's the point? We're so far under the cap this year, and we've not used it for no reason. Like we need to make sure we use it next year.
There's something in the pipeline. There should be something in the pipeline for this. Right, one last thing to touch on here before we move into the preview for the Jags game. Okay, the defense. Oh boy, this was one of the worst performances I've seen one of our defenses have, especially in the running game. Davin Godchaux was very, very vocal when he gave an honest assessment. He said, guys have to take accountability. Even if you think the game was over, say in the 3rd quarter, if you thought the game was over after the 3rd quarter, it's just having pride. It doesn't look like we have pride out there. I mean, he ain't wrong, because there was some awful, awful tackling in that game as well. The Pats had trouble covering Texans wide out. Stephon Diggs, 6 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. And Tank Dell, 7 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown in man coverage. CJ Stroud converted 3 third downs to Dell and hit a deep out to Diggs to convert on 3rd down in the first half as well. But the worst thing for me is we're so stout at trying to stop the run, and then we give up 2 plays explosive runs of 59, 54,
Mixon,
and 20 yards. All because of Joe Mixon. Now he's a great running back. Don't get me wrong, but even still, why have you done that?
I mean, even Damien Pierce, got, I think, close to 70 something. I think 78, 76.
That was his first game back from injury as well.
Yeah. That's annoying.
192 yards in rushing.
We're just undermanned, and it's a situation where we have one pure run-stopping defensive tackle. Obviously, we're missing Barmore. Godshire can't do that on his own, and our best run-stopping linebacker is also out. So it gets to the point where you got to try and fix that situation. We spoke off air last week about a free agent that had just become a free agent. Like Devin White's available. Just go and sign him.
No.
He can't cover, but just let him run downhill and smash a running back because that's what he's good at.
I'm going to stop you there, Kieran, and there's a reason being why. If the Eagles are cutting Devin White and can't get a 7th round pick for him, why is he worth taking? Because the Eagles' linebacking core is actually pretty decent, and if Devin White can't get into that sort of can't get into that team, it's a bit worrying knowing that he's not on form right now. I personally feel like there are other needs.
There's rumors that he's kind of broken down a bit, hasn't there? That he's not.
Yeah, there is.
The years of playing, like again, another LSU guy, which seems to be a topic today. That I loved him at LSU. He just played with his hair on fire and ran into brick walls over and over again. And I imagine that's probably caught up with him. I agree with Kieran. I'd take a flyer on him and see what happens, because what's the worst that you get out of that? We've got the cap space. Just try it. Anything that gets Jelani Tavai out of coverage for me, because I just can't keep watching him drop into coverage. And McMillan is really struggling. He doesn't get off blocks. McMillan just doesn't get off blocks at all. The run game is really interesting, actually, because I hate when people do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. We gave up 2 runs. I think it was 54 and 59 yards.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And if you remove those 2 explosive plays, I think they had it was something like 70 yards, 76 yards rushing or something, which is like 3 yards a carry. So we help them really well in the run game. It's just 2 stupid explosive runs. And I think Drake Maye said it right. You can't give up 2 runs of over 50 yards and expect to play winning football. That's just not going to happen. And it's really disappointing. I think Martin Mapu needs to play more linebacker. Now we've got Duggar back. I'd like to see Hawkins.
See, I don't know.
Safety.
I think Mapu might be a good replacement, and I think this is going to happen. I think Peppers is gone, to be honest. I don't think Peppers is gone. I think Peppers is not coming. And I think Mapu might be a good little safety to replace him there.
Yeah, I just think we lack too much athleticism at linebacker. I just think Miller doesn't get off blocks. Tavai is just a liability for me. I think he's really struggled, and I struggle watching him. When he was playing the edge last week against the Dolphins, he looked a lot better, and he sets the edge pretty well. But just playing off the ball, he doesn't get off blocks. He fits the run quite poorly, and he's so bad in coverage. I just think putting Mapu in at linebacker is a bit more athletic, and Christian Ellis is a bit more hit and miss. But he, again, those are 2 guys that just play with their hair on fire a little bit, and it'd be nicer to have that as opposed to 2 kind of stagnant old school linebackers that we're just not getting anything out of. So I'd like to probably see Hawkins play a bit more in the secondary and Mapu move down to the secondary a little bit more.
I think maybe Taki to keep an eye on as well.
He might come into it more as he gets fitter.
That was his first game, though. That was his first game this season, though, wasn't it? So teething problems for him. But
first play he gave up a penalty on kickoff, didn't he?
Oh Jesus, yeah. Talking of penalties, very undisciplined again. 9 penalties for 40. I think it was for 45 yards. I think it was. Not great. It was slightly better.
It was the third down penalties on defense that were just so frustrating.
I'm going to say this: the first call was very iffy. The second call was not as iffy. That was actually PI.
The Mapu one.
The Mapu one was a horrible call.
That was not a PI.
No,
no way was a PI.
I mean, I've had more contact in bed with my ex and that was a PI call. So That was not a pass. That was not a pass of the field.
I hope she's not watching.
No, she won't.
No, I think there was some really kind of dumb plays that I think just penalties that uncharacteristic still. Well, not uncharacteristic, it's characteristic at this point, isn't it? Let's be honest. But that is another side of the coaching that concerns me. Players just, like I know Taki-Taki's it's his first game, but moving too early on kickoff, that's coaching. Like he needs to know what he's doing there. We've got guys just making silly mistakes. And like last week, it was Christian Ellis extended the Dolphins game-winning drive with a dodgy PI running into somebody. We've got, we're doing the same. It was Jonathan Jones, I think, or Marcus Jones, who did it on the third down. I know Mapu's wasn't a great call. And I think it was interesting to see Drake Maye make a couple of comments after the game where he said that on a Saturday, they do like a refereeing meeting where they discuss the crew and their tendencies. And they said they knew going into the game that this was a really high penalty count refereeing crew, and they have been all season. So it was interesting. That was something they prepared for, and obviously didn't do anything about. But yeah, it was. There seemed to be a lot. I think both ways, really ticky-tacky penalties.
Yeah.
You were just like, this is...
But unfortunately, we keep having false starts. We keep having illegal formation penalties. Really are doing my head in now. Not just when we watch the Patriots, but just overall in the NFL. I'm like, it is inches. Like they're inches just out of position nowadays, and you get flagged for it. It's getting very, very it's getting very petty now, shall we say? Yeah.
It annoys me when you get calls like that, and then you see things like when Chris Olave nearly got like hospitalized the other day.
Oh God!
I don't know if you saw that was a horrendous helmet to helmet. How the player hasn't got ejected for that contact, I don't know. There's inconsistencies across the board.
The refs still haven't forget what they done in 2019. But I digress.
In terms of the defense, though, I just feel that we've had
2018. Sorry, no, 2019, 2018. Sorry.
I understand the injuries and all the Peppers issues, Barmore, Judon gone, etc. But we're just for these last 2 weeks, I felt we've stepped back a bit rather than we were like we thought to ourselves, "Oh, we've got a massive defense here." But it's now like, well, do we? Okay, there's a player here that I don't even know who that guy is. Jacqueline Roy. He had a sack.
I was just about to mention him. He's a former
LSU, isn't he?
Former fifth round pick for the Vikings out of LSU. He's had sacks in back-to-back weeks since he got to us.
And 3 tackles.
I was going to say, if Keon White's not getting the sack, I said no one's getting the sack for us, but it seems like that's not the case.
Keon White was not existent on that on the game on Sunday.
He got manhandled. He got tackled. Laramie Tunsil had him in check pretty much all game.
Yeah, I think he got double teamed quite a bit as well, but he beat
Gonzalez. Didn't seem to be that either. Gonzalez seemed to be lost. Who was he covering? He was covering Dell most of the time. No, Diggs.
To be honest, you can only have so many high quality receivers in your back pocket throughout your career. You're gonna have to let one go at some point. And I think this one, it wasn't a good game from Gonzalez. But to be fair, that's probably his first bad game he's had under the Patriots uniform. So you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt there.
Jennings seemed to did some little bits and bobs. I liked.
I think we're now going into a run there because we've played against some good offenses. Houston's a good offense. Yes, they didn't have Nico Collins, but we've played some good offenses in recent weeks. And yes, we've been exposed with the injuries and the lack of talent in certain areas. But we're now going into a run where, Jets aside, and maybe the Bears, we've got a run of teams where their offenses are not great. We're going to be playing the Jags. We're going to be playing against the Titans. We've got the Colts coming up. Like, these are much softer games for the defense. Like, we're not giving up 40 points in them games, I don't think. So I like to think that this is a winnable stretch coming up. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and sort of they're trying to make a case of where the record might be. There's a conceivable chance we could be at 4-6, but once again, that hinges on the defense stepping up again, and if May continues to play well. But yeah, I think once we get into this run, we're not going to give up 40 points this week to the Jags. I think we're going to win the game, and we'll get into that in a bit. But
mate, we need to, because every time I go live, they lose. So either I'm staying home or I just watch it from outside the stadium.
But I'm going to be there, and every time I've seen them live, they've won. So somebody's curse has
Someone's
to
got to
end.
win.
So that means it's going to be a tie then, by the looks of it, because he says every time he goes, he loses. Every time you go to see
This is my
Patriots,
third
they
time.
win. So this will be
They've
a tie
lost.
then, basically. Oh, Jesus Christ.
If I drive to London to watch a tie, I'll be furious.
What, 3-3? Imagine.
It won't be 3-3. I think it would be a low scoring game. It won't be nothing like that we saw when the Jags played Chicago on Sunday, or last Sunday rather. But then that is a very good segue to move into the preview for our game against Jacksonville. Jaguars, they came over to London. They played Chicago in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And oh my good grief, did they get absolutely raw dogged by the Bears? Pardon the term of phrase there. That was an awful performance from Jacksonville. A fantastic performance by Caleb Williams, 100%. But Trevor Lawrence looks out of sorts. They couldn't get the running game going. The pass rush couldn't get a sniff on Caleb Williams at all. This Jags team's in a bit of a problem. And I said this on a group chat. I said this on a group chat last week, okay? When the Jags got their win over the Colts, I asked the question, were the Jags that good in that game or were the Colts that shit in that game? Because after watching that London game against Chicago, they reverted back to type again. Another bottom feeder team. They look awful. They look disorganized. They've got no ideas. Trevor Lawrence is looking.
I don't blame it all on Lawrence. I think his receivers let him down quite a bit as well.
Well at the weekend. But...
Yeah, I think they drop a lot of balls. The route running isn't where he wants them to be. I think Etienne has got injury problems as well, so he's not relying on the running game as he would, having that kind of backup. I think the only wide receiver that's half decent is Brian Thomas, and he's a rookie, so you can't really expect a miracle out of him. I just think they're just not. Yeah, I don't know. I think they've got a decent team. They're just not clicking. And I think Doug's on the hot seat this weekend. If he loses, I think he's gone. The only reason why they probably haven't sacked him already because he's in the UK. But as soon as he touches soil into US, I think he might. If he loses on Sunday, I think he might be gone.
Yeah, I think that's a definite possibility. There's a job set.
And the worst thing you're going to do with Lawrence is benching him for Mac Jones. That is just going to kill the kid.
There's not a chance.
Especially on the millions.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is playing that bad. They have 15 drops. 15.
Yeah.
That is a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
For such a talented receiving core. Gabe Davis, I mean, I don't know, he must have his hands of butter at the weekend. Like, he was horrible. Brian Thomas had a couple. I think they dropped 4 touchdowns. Like, there were 4 balls in the end zone that dropped. That's horrific. You're not going to win games playing like that. And I don't think Trevor Lawrence is playing that bad. I think he's just not. The team as a whole just don't. It looks like a team that's not playing for their coach right now.
It does look like it, but Doug Pederson, he's a former Super Bowl winning coach, and you can't just fall off a cliff like that. But that's what you do.
I would put some blame at the door at the general manager as well, because I think their personnel decisions and draft decisions have been appalling. Like, go back a couple of years. Now, I know Trayvon Walker has been okay, but how you pass on Aiden Hutchinson for him at number 1, that's a sackable offence.
Yep.
Because you got a generational pass rusher you passed up on for a 1-year wonder at Georgia. So, and it's not just been that year. They've whiffed on so many other decisions as well. And you look at the roster, I can't quite work out why they're that bad, because they've got so many players where we go, we take him. Like, we take probably all of their O-line, their pass. They've got some decent pass rushers. They've got a couple of players in the secondary like Campbell and Cisco. We take Devin Lloyd. Why is this team so bad? I genuinely don't know, because they've got talent there. And I don't know if it is Doug Peterson. This is a good coach. It's a Super Bowl winning coach. Like, when he went to Jacksonville, he turned them around, got them back into the playoffs. I don't know whether it's on him, but this is they are massively underperforming.
It's a Trent Baalke MO, though, isn't it? He's always taken physical freaks over good football players. And that's where you see someone like Trayvon Walker, who's enticing. Like, you see what he could be. But then you look at Aiden Hutchinson, who's a really good football player. I mean, that guy had 45 pressures in 5 games. That's insane. He was on track to beat JJ Watt's pressure record by like 30 odd pressures, sorry, which is bananas. Like if he hadn't just shattered his leg into a million pieces at the weekend, like he'd have been defensive player of the year easily.
Yeah.
Like he's been absolutely brilliant. But you see the Jags have done that at numerous occasions where they favoured physical freaks over actual football players.
All I'll say is this, okay? 10 years ago, the 49ers had that same after coming off a loss or not a great season, shall we say, they ended up firing Jim Harbaugh and keeping Trent Baalke. That was probably the worst decision that franchise has ever made. Because I think at the time, Jim Harbaugh's record was 41-19 before he got sacked. Why that? I still, and Trent Baalke's been getting away with it for years and years. So he deserves some of the blame as well. But it does look like it's an overall mess for Jacksonville. They're not being coached. They're not being coached properly. They're struggling. They're dropping the ball left, right, and center. I do feel sorry for Trevor Lawrence in a way, but guess what? If you actually go through his stats of since he's come into the NFL, he's got the same amount of touchdowns, the same sort of amount of interceptions, the same sort of amount of passer rating as freaking Daniel Jones of the New York Football Giants. And that is something that I wasn't expecting to see. I thought Daniel Jones was ass, and I think he still is ass. But Trevor Lawrence is actually like, whoa, hang on. You're meant to be this number one pick. You're meant to be the shining beacon of hope for Jacksonville. And it's not come out, and it hasn't come out that way. But this team...
he's not lived up to his hype. No way. But I also don't think he's part of the problem. I think he's playing okay at the moment, and he's been let down by surrounding players. But yeah, it is. It's got to get to the point as well where, like, I know they have a partnership with the UK, but like, it's got to get to the point where stop sending them here, please. There's no need for them to be here. Like the game just gone against Chicago. Like if Jacksonville were the home team because of their link with like NFL UK, fair enough. Well, this weekend that is the case. But like Chicago were the home team and they gave us Jacksonville again. Nobody wants to see this team year upon year, especially when they stink. Now, it was good they've been coming here for 10 years now? They've had maybe 2 good seasons in that time. They were fine in that period. But when they're terrible, nobody wants to watch them. It's just boring. Like the ticket sales would be so much better if you get like the game a couple of weeks ago, Jets, Vikings, 2, playoff teams, you would think. Like that's good. Like good for the growth of the game. They've got to stop sending us Jacksonville twice a year. I think once a year you can tolerate just about, depending if they play a good team, but no one wants to watch them 2 weeks in a row.
But let's not underestimate them because although they're 1-5 for a reason, we are also 1-5 for a reason. It is the London Sewer Bowl because we're both at 1-5. It's going to be an interesting game. We're all going to be there. We're all going to be pumped and excited for it, but we also have to have a note of caution. Okay. Look, we're not performing well on defense. If we get Ramondre Stevenson back, it might be able to run the ball a lot more better, and that will probably open up the passing lanes for Drake Maye to have a little bit more freedom with. But let's not underestimate Jacksonville because they can put points on you. This Tank Bigsby running back that they got looks quite dangerous as far as I'm concerned. He's been good this year. He has been decent, well, apart from the Chicago game, but that's beside the
he ended up getting benched in the end for Dearness Johnson.
Yeah,
Dearness Johnson is one to keep an eye on as well. So moving into that game, but listen, it's going to be a good game on Sunday. Hopefully, we see more points than what the bloody hell me and DJ saw last year in Frankfurt because that was just a crime to football. That was that was annoying. That was just horrible.
So glad we had beer, if not.
We needed a lot of it. Yeah.
What's the odds like?
The Jags are favourite by -5.5.
Jags are favourite?
By 5.5.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, they obviously
the
bookies are obviously not sold on Drake Maye yet. That's obviously the reason why they haven't moved the line. I think if Ramondre Stevenson's back, that line might move to 3.5, maybe.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say it should be around 3.
Give or take. But it's going to be. This game will be interesting. Let's go around the horn. Score predictions before we talk about our trip to London coming up. DJ?
I think it's going to be low scoring, but I want to say Drake's going to fucking rape this game up. I think he's going to be 24-17.
Okay. JD?
I was going to say 27-23 to the Patriots.
Okay. Kevin?
Me and DJ are on very similar lines here. I had 24-16 in my head. So, yeah, Pats win 24-16. And, yeah, I just feel this is the time. You've got to win this game. 100% got to win this game. And I feel like we will. I think what was noticeable last week at Tottenham was that the heavy Chicago crowd. I've never heard the Jags get booed out of the building like that in London. I wonder whether that will be the same case this weekend because the Patriots got a big fan base in the UK and Europe.
They might not sound. They might not sound like they've got a big fan base, or especially in the UK anyway. But the last 2 times they've come to Wembley, they have outrun everybody. So
I think we might see a Patriots crowd this weekend, especially with Drake Maye playing. I feel like we are going to be the home team and we will beat them.
So Chicago was able to put more than 30 points on the Jags, which is the first time in God knows how many years since the last time we had a team that's put over 30 points on a team. Let's go twice in 2 weeks. Patriots win 34-21.
Oh, high scoring.
I want an exciting game.
That.
I want an exciting game. We're going to London. It's going to be pissing it down with rain. Let's at least celebrate. Let's at least celebrate in the rain with a load of touchdowns. And I want another deep throw to Keishon Butte. Give me another one to Keishon Butte, and we'll be all over this.
He's going to house one, and we're all just going to be having our little party in the corner at Wembley. The booty breakout has begun.
I've said, because I've not watched, well, every time I've gone, they've lost. I've said if Patriots win, I'm buying a May jersey.
Oh, that's Tim. That's a glutton for punishment.
I'm gonna get it.
If Keishon Butte has 100 yards and a touchdown, I might buy it.
You'll get one. He's then our true wide receiver one.
Okay, right. We've got one more thing before we get on out of here. Obviously, we got the game on Sunday. We are going to be there on Sunday. But there was a bit of a build-up towards it in the day prior to it. Obviously, myself and DJ, we have managed to get tickets for the Patriots party in Victoria on Saturday night, which we are very, very much looking forward to. Not sure what to expect. Maybe sort of similar sort of lines of what we saw in Frankfurt.
Yeah,
maybe to a lesser degree.
Going to be something. There's going to be some. There'll be some ex-players attending. There's the cheerleaders. There's like goods going around.
The alumni as well. So obviously, they're bringing the Sixers with them as well. So
Pat's going to be there as well.
Yep, the mascot will be there.
But in terms of like players, I'm not sure. I mean, last time, who was there last time? It's Ninkovic, Butler, and Volmer.
Yes,
so I don't know if those are the 3 kind of like international representatives or whatever you want to call them that attends these kind of events. So I don't know if it's the same ones.
If Julian Edelman's there, I'm going to absolutely lose it. I'm going to absolutely lose it if Edelman is there. Don't think he will, but you never know.
Who? Edelman?
Yeah.
Nah, no chance.
He'd be working for one of the networks out in the States. So, but yeah, there's bound to be someone good there. I mean, that Seabass and Ninkovic, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Imagine if Brady just walks through the door.
Nah.
I think I might pass out or come 4 or 5 times.
Okay. For anyone under the age of 18 that's listening to this, I do apologise for DJ's discretions. And then on Sunday, it's obviously get out.
Oh.
I've just removed you. Right. On Sunday, it's obviously game day. We are going to be all meeting up at the Green Man pub in just off Wembley Park, I believe. Right, you can come back into the fold now. So everyone's meeting there 9 a.m. Well, obviously me, DJ, and Joe will probably get there for like 9:30.
Yeah, I think it starts at 9. Everyone's going to start rallying that way.
Yeah.
I think it's the point where everyone's kind of going to go, but I don't know how much like capacity that place actually holds. And then it's just a short walk from there, I believe, to Wembley. It's not far from that place.
It will be. So obviously JD, Kieran, Nick, they will all you're going to meet us around about 10ish, something along those lines. And for the first, and it'll be for the second time that the Pats Touchback has got together, but it'll be for the first time that we're also going to meet the newbies in the flesh as well. So we're going to see Kieran, we're going to see JD, we're going to see Joe as well. And also, if you haven't noticed already, I've got to take my headphones off because I need to move out of the way. Try and find this, okay? That is our flag that we have got there. It will be coming with us on Sunday. It was Saturday and Sunday. So if you see our flag, come and check us out. Say hello. Take pictures. And give us your predictions on the Jags game, on Jags game as well. Let us know what you think of Drake Maye as well. So we're going to be in Victoria on Saturday, and then we'll be at the game. So if you spot this flag, come and say hello to us. And we are going to get a picture with all the podcast crew. But hey, if you're a Patriots fan, you want your picture taken with all of us, hey, let's get a whole group together and just go absolutely mental, because it's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be amazing. So, and DJ, as always, listen, you run this channel, and the work you put in has been absolutely effortless. Same.
I think we all do it,
and same with everyone does. Okay.
Yeah.
And same with everyone does a great job. Okay, guys. We are going to get on out of here. That is the end of our show. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you smash the like button on the way out. Hit the subscribe button on the way out as well. Tell all your friends. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Keep an eye on Instagram as well, because there's going to be a lot of content going on there this weekend. I guarantee you that right now. And follow us on all our social media platforms on Spotify and on the Sports Social Network as well. We will be back next Tuesday for the aftermath of London, and hopefully we are reporting on a win for the New England Patriots. We desperately need a win. We don't want another crapshoot like we saw in Frankfurt last year. Come on, Patriots. Send us all home. Send us all home happy. Go Patriots. London, we're coming for you.